Alright folks, welcome back to lesson 12, part 2. So we went over the air traffic control ground school on what to say around airfields and how to talk to controllers. Now is the time to learn how to do that in the aircraft. So here we are in the cockpit of the F-18, and we're going to go over three main things. First, SRS. What is SRS? What it's used for? Two, we're going to go over the comms, the actual radios. And three, over the F10 menu for in-game ATC. Alright, let's get started. So the first thing is I'm gonna do is go to options and reduce my in-cockpit volume. There we go. Alright, first things first, SRS. So you see these yellow markings here on the bottom left of my screen. That is not standard in DCS. This is an overlay that comes from a simple standalone radio. Um, which is a free program that was developed specifically, I think, for DCS to allow people in a multiplayer DCS server to communicate with each other realistically. Meaning, the way you have to do it is you have to tune in a specific frequency, and SRS will then allow you to listen to and talk on that specific frequency. So as you can see here on the left, we have the AN ARC210, which is the Hornet radio. We have radio 1, radio 2, and then mids, which we'll talk about. But here we have, for example, 314, 555, and 305, right? So those are the frequencies that are in there. So when it comes to SRS, so the first thing is this video is not going to go into all the details of how to set up SRS for DCS. There is plenty of videos on YouTube that will do that. So I encourage you to go grab one of those videos, and it'll teach you how to install SRS. But what we will do is go maybe over quickly the key bindings that I use for the SRS. So if you go to search, as we had talked about, and you go to radio, or maybe comms, communications is a better one. So you will see that this is all the communications related stuff. And on my throttle, I have two things bound. So how about I do this? So, no, that didn't work. Let's see. Throttle, and click on this, emerge. Okay, there you go. So, this button 11 that I have bound to my throttle it's a button that says COM switch, COM1 call radio menu, which by default on your keyboard is right alt plus backspace, and for the radio 2 is right control plus backspace. What these are is the buttons that you need to communicate with ATC within the game when you have realistic radios enabled in Mission Editor. When you don't have realistic radios enabled, basically you don't need to use these, and you can just use the F10 menu, and it will automatically tune into that frequency, and you don't have to worry about it. So that is the only thing I have bound here as far as the in-game. You see there's also voice over IP. You would think that that's for SRS, but no, I don't actually use that. So trying to find the COM. So the COM for my SRS. Let's see here. Let's see if I can do that guy and that guy. Throttle. Okay, not working for some reason. But essentially, come to, yeah. Out of my comms, pilot salute, yeah, so they're not even mapped. So I guess it's been a while since I set this up, but essentially you have one button that is on your SRS, you push on it, and it will activate the radio for that button that is associated with your aircraft for that radio. And then for my second button is linked to my COM2, and my third one is linked to my MIDS A. I actually don't have the fourth one bound, which is funny because whenever people say go to my fourth radio, which we call MIDS B on the Hornet, I don't have that bound, so I can't use it in SRS. So yeah, as far as binding is, the only one that you really need is these two. I don't even have the second one bound. I mean, I've never used it. But yeah, this is my modifier. I guess it is there. So when you want to call up the F10 menu, you just click this, and then you can call things like tower. You can call things like the tankers, or the carrier or whatnot. This is what you use to do all of that. Like is you just COM1 radio call menu. That's why it says menu. It brings up the menu using COM1. And obviously you have to have the correct frequency on COM1 to call up that that specific um, you know frequency that you're trying to get to. So that's the only button there. The other ones, as I said, are SRS buttons, and you just have to bind them to. Let me just check for something real quick. Yeah, I do have. So here we go. Hope you guys can see this, but so basically I have added. I'm streaming my SRS client. So this is the program that you would use, right? And you can see that that I am in on this SRS, and you go to controls, and you see here I have radio 1, radio 2, and radio 3, and I guess there would be um, radio 4, which I don't use. So radio 4. So radio 1, so you see that it's on my throttle is this button here, radio 2 is this button, and radio 3 is this button. So these radios actually are linked to each aircraft. So radio 1 would be COM1 on the Hornet, radio 2 would be COM2, radio 3 would be MIDS A, and radio 4 would be MIDS B. So all you have to do is bind these guys, and then you can use the SRS within the game. So that's that. And the only thing I have bound here from this is that one that I showed you earlier. So now that that's out of the way, let's get going on these. So your Hornet radios are right here on the UFC, right? You've got this guy and this guy. If you click on it, it starts showing up the information about the radio. Your COM1 volume is right here. So if you want to go max volume, you can change the volumes here. To turn it on, I think you have to click on it, and it will turn on. After a while, it will go away. And if you want to see it, you just click on it again. So if I left click on here, you see that this one is 31455, and if I left click on this one, COM2, it's 305000. The COM1 is the one on the left, COM2 is the one on the right. COM1 is also called or primary, and COM2 is called aux or auxiliary. So the Hornet has 20 preset buttons where you can save certain frequencies, and typically they will be set in the mission editor under the frequency tab that I think I had shown you guys. So for example here, button 2 is 311, button 3 is 121, button 4 is 260, and button 5 is 265. They don't have to be the same on this side, so you can see here they're all kind of different. So you have 40 different options you can preset. And let's say I wanted to go to button 16 and I wanted this 268 to be 267. So I'll just go 267,000, enter, and now button 16 is 267. So if I switch to 15, is 263, and if I switch to 16, it's 267, and it used to be 268. So that's how simple it is to change a frequency set to any given button. So these are the buttons as we call them. So yeah, you can go up to, by scrolling with your scroll wheel, up to number 20, which is 251000. And if you go up above 20, this is G, which is guard. Guard is a frequency for it's a general frequency, kind of emergency, or to communicate on internationally with anybody who doesn't know the frequency. So, for example, when you're intercepting an aircraft, an unknown aircraft, you would switch to guard, and if they monitored guard, you would be able to talk to them. Otherwise, you just wouldn't be able to. The other guard frequency is 121.5, and this is twice that frequency, and that's 121.5 is kind of an emergency frequency as well. So it's always good to monitor guard at all times, right? And that's it. Then you go up to M. M means manual. Manual just simply means that whatever frequency here, like 365,000, there you go. So now that's my manual frequency. It's just a manual frequency you input. C, I can't remember what C is. Seems to be the same as guard. And S, I don't remember what S is either. Don't quite use them. So C might be cipher, maybe? I don't know. But that's all you need to know about these radios. So let's go to the F10 map. So we see we are here at Kutaisi. And one way to find out information about airports is you click on this thing that says the airport symbol or the name of it, and you left click on it, and it brings you the identifier, the coalition, elevation, runway length, coordinates, the TACAN, which is very important if it has one, which is a navigation aid to get to it, and then VOR and what's not. But the important thing for this lesson is the ATC frequencies. So they're in megahertz and they're in AM. So so you will see that you have 263 is the tower frequency in the UHF frequency, 134 in the VHF, and 41 I think that's FM. I don't know. AM? No, I think these are all AM. So any of these frequencies should work to contact the tower. So tower will have different frequencies. So the most common ones we use are either VHF or UHF. So UHF will be 263.000.134.000. And typically we go with the VHF. It's our standard that most people use. So let's say we wanted to call Kabuleti traffic to request clearance to start up. So right now I am on radio 31455 here, and I am on radio 1267. So we're not on 133. Sorry, what was it? 134. We're not on 134, so in theory it shouldn't work. So if I click on that button that we talked about, the COM1 radio menu, this thing will come up. So then you have to go to F5, which is the ATC communications, and then you would do Kutaisi, which is the airport we're on, and then you say request startup. Since we haven't tuned the frequency, it's not going to respond to us. It shouldn't work. If you didn't have realistic communication set up in the mission editor, then it wouldn't matter. You would click this, and it didn't matter what your radios were tuned to, and you could just use the / key to contact ATC and use this menu without having to do the right control or right alt /, which is the using COM 1 or 2. So let's try it.
Kutaisi 1-1, request startup.
They shouldn't respond because we're not on any frequency and we're using realistic radios. So how do we fix that? We have to go to manual or any of the presets, and then we press 134.000. So there's 3 zeros for frequencies, so most of the time the frequencies will be the first 2 digits, but you have to put all 3. Then you press enter. Now we are on frequency 134000 on our left comm, and if I go here and go back to ATC and Kutasi, see if I can show that. Say request startup.
Kutasi,
They should respond.
request startup. 1-1. Kutasi, cleared for startup.
There we go. That worked out. Now let's try it on this comm, and you will see that's not going to work. Let's say we change this comm here to something that's not going to work, and go back here to manual on comm 2, and press 134000, enter. Since I don't have this bound, if I use my comm 2 radio menu, I bet you it's not going to work. So I'm pressing the comm 1 radio menu, and say abort takeoff.
Kutasi, 1-1. Abort takeoff.
It probably shouldn't work. Yeah, there you go. So if I wanted that to work, I would have to set keybind for COM 2 radio menu call instead of COM 1. And I've never kind of used that because I always put it on COM 1, but just for demonstration purposes, let's go and check. It was joystick button 2, so it's this guy plus button 11. Yeah, let's try that. So it's this button with this button, and say abort takeoff.
Kutasi, 1-1. Abort takeoff. 1-1. Taxi to parking area.
There you go. So I never really use the ATC menu on this comm, so I hadn't really bound it and didn't remember it, but you could see that I just used that binding and it worked. So there you go. That's how you contact ATC. On the SRS front. So remember knee boards? And all our important knee boards, such as this one right here. Remember, don't forget those. But let's say, like in this particular server that I'm on. Remember, I said in multiplayer servers you would have different frequencies. So in this case, these are all the different frequencies that are on the server to contact. These are typically frequencies that should operate both for the in-game ATC menu. So if I wanted to go and tank from shell 41, I would go to 259, and also button. So the buttons don't show, but that would be like button 13 or 14 or something like that. In fact, let's try that. Let's go to button, what is it? Shell 259. So if this aircraft is pre-configured, which it might not be. 249 is button 16, so yeah, that doesn't look like 16, but anyways, the point is, once you get to 259, that's your frequency, and you could use the menu in ATC menu button to call them up. But also on SRS, it's the same frequency as well. So on SRS, when you tune this in, and everybody else tunes this frequency, and I click my SRS Radio 1 button, this is the one I showed you earlier. Look at this overlay. See, it says 259. If I press my Radio 1 SRS button, it says plus TR, means I'm transmitting right now. And then when somebody speaks, it will light up and put their name next to it. Same thing with 134. That is the Kutasi frequency, which is on COM 2 or aux. And if I press my Radio 2, which was designated to SRS, you'll see that TR is on 134. And there you go. I'm transmitting to other human beings on that radio. So when I first started, this took me a while to figure out. I was like, I couldn't tell the difference between in-game communications and SRS communications. So hopefully I was able to make it a bit more clear for you guys, the difference between, let's close this guy up. The difference between, grabbing this menu here, the comms menu, through a specific frequency, um, versus, getting on that frequency and having the keybind through SRS to talk to other people. And you can do both at the same time as well, if they're all on the same frequency. That's pretty much it. Let's see if I can get this right menu here. So the other things on this menu, you could say flight. This is for your AI flights, what to do. Your wingman, what to do. Tanker is if you want to go to contact shall you say intend to refuel. You would go there. AWACS if you wanna want vectors or bogey dope or picture. This is how you communicate with AWACS. Again, you have to put the correct frequency for that AWACS and then call them up. And then you have the ATC, and you have all the different airfields. You even have the Tarawa, and it's in order of how close they are to you. So, for example, the carrier, aircraft carrier is not shown, but for example, the Tarawa is shown, and you could communicate with the Tarawa or even with the Oliver Perry, and that's how you communicate with the ATC. So that's pretty much it. The last thing I wanted to talk about is Airboss. So going back, I'm going to try to bring up the menu. So Airboss is a Moose script, and you're like, what the hell is Moose? I thought it was a animal. Moose is a series of scripts that will develop for DCS to add functionality to DCS by people doing it on their free time. It's not associated with the developers. It's done by volunteers and hobbyists who do it in their free time. And one of the scripts that is part of Moose is called Airboss. And what Airboss does is it emulates the Airboss on a carrier, which is the guy in charge of air traffic around the boat. Then what Airboss does is it basically manages recoveries, and it will for carrier operations it will do marshal, like communications up to the boat. It will grade your landings on the boat, and it does a whole bunch of things, but primarily communications, giving you clearances about or on the boat, and it grades your traps. That's the main purpose of Airboss. And to get to it, you go to this F10 menu or other, and then you click on Airboss. And these are the things available from the Airboss script. So you can request marshal or commands or refueling. So these are things you, when you communicate with the air traffic control with Airboss, you can request an emergency landing. So these are the first things that this is getting clearance from Airboss. And then in this kneeboard, if you click on that, it will tell you your results of your traps. It will tell you what the carrier info is such as the direction and whatnot. Winds, its current course. A weather report on, what's the weather like. Set section is to make yourself a group with other people, other wingmen, so that you go and recover together. Marshal queue is the pattern waiting in queue. These are all the people that are in Airboss. So they're in the pattern. It tells you who is next and whatnot. And then you have a skipper, which basically instructs certain things on what to do for the carrier. So you can set the speed, you can set a different radial, you can do a start recovery case 1, case 2, case 3, or you can stop the recovery. Um, Case 1 is just for nice weather, case 3 is bad weather, case 2 is like iffy weather between case 1 and 3. Anyways, this is just a menu that you will learn more about when if you go on a server that has airbox. Um, and as I said, it's just a tool to help grade your traps and manage the carrier and above and beyond what the standard DCS does. So there you go. There we have it. We covered, I think, pretty much everything. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I guess we didn't cover like encryption. Oh, and we didn't cover mids. So, okay, mids. So this is radio 1, radio 2, as we talked about, or Pry and Aux. And there's 2 more radios that the Hornet has. And it is through the data link system of the Hornet. And those are called mids A and mids B. And the way you activate that is you go to this DL, which is data link, and you want to turn it on. And what you want to do is click it one more time and turn that on again as well. And you'll see here it says VOC A and VOC B. VOC means I think voice channel or something like that. So this is voice channel A and voice channel B. And yeah, basically you can click on voice A and you can put in a code such as, I don't know, like for example 98. Enter. And now you are on channel 98 on the mids A, as we call it. And if you look right here in the bottom left, SRS overlay, see how it says mids A channel 98? And I have a third button bound for that radio 3 in SRS. And if I click on it, it'll say TR, which means I'm transmitting currently on channel 98 mids A. If you wanted to do B, all you have to do is, I don't know, put in another channel like 65, enter. And now we have channel 65 on B. And I don't have that bound, so my key that I'm using right now is for A. And I don't have my mids B bound, so I can't use mids B. But those are 2 extra channels that you can use. So at any given moment, a Hornet pilot can talk to and listen to 4 different channels, which is extraordinary. Many planes can't do that. Such as the Tomcat. I always like to throw a little jab at our Tomcat drivers. Tomcat has only 2 radios, and and the pilot can only use 1. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that's mids, and the last thing would have been like cipher, and that's this thing here, and that's to encrypt your communications using the KY58 encryption system, which I'm not sure if it's here somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but essentially it allows you to encrypt so that only you and the person that you're encrypting with will hear each other on that any given channel, and everybody else will just hear static. And SRS does support that as well. I don't know the details, but it sounds like an advanced thing, and I will probably do an addendum to this lesson to basically cover encryption. But for now, don't want to overload you guys with information. This should get you guys going as far as using the Hornet radios. You also know what to tell ATC, and you know how to use Airbus. So you should be now operational, capable of being operational around an airfield, and you can communicate with others and with tower in a semi-professional way. So thanks for watching. hope this was useful, and see you in the next lesson where we're going to start covering navigation, starting from fuel management. So hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. Hope that you guys have been practicing and learning. And yeah, see you in the next lesson. Shockwave out.